The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join hosts Trevor Current and Joseph Christina as they serve up the hottest photography news and commentary.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 166. I'm Joseph Christina here with my co-host Trevor Current. On last week's show, we talked about migrating from iPhoto to Photos on iOS 8, the rumored 46 megapixel Canon Pro Body, Nikon D750, and the brand new flagship Samsung NX1. If you haven't watched last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at digitalphotographycafe.com and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/dphotocafe. Listen with the popular Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox music apps, or subscribe through iTunes or RSS.
So Joe, we are back. How you doing?
We are here. I am hanging in there. We have winter coming. Nice for you, not so nice. Over here, we're at a pleasant 72 degrees, and I think you told me it was like 38, so I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was 38 degrees this morning. It's supposed to get up to 70 today, so that's like a 30 plus degree swing in temp. That's just awesome for all the cold germs and everything else we got flying around up here.
Yeah, pretty soon it's going to be your turn for germs, and we're taking flu shots down here and all that, and we do that because you people, the snowbirds come down.
That's
and kill
right.
us.
We bring our germs down there.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I know. The doctors have kind of suggested that I may want to think about the flu shot this year. I don't normally get them, but given everything that has happened with me over the last year, my immune system, I guess, is a little low. So, although I don't know, I mean, I say that, and overall, I feel pretty good. So, I don't know.
Yeah, you're probably fine. The flu shot can't hurt you, though. It's usually
if I get it, if I get the shot, I'll end up getting a mild flu. That's just what'll happen.
Probably, but the shot's better than the air. They do that air mist in your nose, where the shot is dead, basically, whereas the mist that they shoot into your nose, that's kind of alive.
Yeah,
I don't want any live virus.
I don't want nothing going
craziness. In my nose. Just give me a shot. Just call it a day. So anyways, Trev, we got a lot of stuff, a lot of news this week, a lot of different things going on. To start off with, we have HP. Now, everyone knows that HP was taken over by the head honcho over there from eBay, Meg Whitman, back in 2011. And she's really pulled HP up by its bootstraps and really made something nice of it again when it was just about going under, right?
Yeah. I mean, HP, they were huge in the industry for a while there with their computers, and their large format printers and everything were really big. We used to have a big, massive 60-inch HP inkjet, really nice printer, but they kind of fell off the map there for a while, and their product quality was kind of really dropping and stuff. And I guess Meg Whitman has been bringing it back up again. So and now they actually split the company, I guess, into two companies. It's going to be the PC and printer division and the enterprise hardware and service options. So, which is probably a good idea. That way they can actually have two focuses, concentrate on those particular areas. And again, if one area of the company falters a little bit, it doesn't necessarily affect the other part of the company at that point either.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's smart too. And she's been, since she's doing it, that means it's probably going to work out well. She's been, really, really, she just knows what she's doing with these companies. And, having those two divisions, when you hear about the PC division with printer, that makes sense. Yeah. The enterprise hardware stuff, if you think about that, and they call it service options, enterprise would be all of your, big machines that you'd be like your 1, 2 use, the stuff, the rack mount stuff that you see at the different network locations, your different
the
NOCs,
data
network
centers and
operations and center data centers. Yeah, that's that part. And as far as the services, I'm going to guess they're probably going to focus heavily on the cloud, because cloud is just huge right now. It's everyone wants cloud. They don't even know what it is, but they want it.
Cloud
just because,
is the buzzword. Yeah.
Cloud is the what buzzword. So it makes sense for them to go that route. I don't have any inside data or knowledge on that, but I'm going to just say, from being in the industry for so many years, chances are they're probably going to take a really sharp focus on the cloud. And that's probably going to be that nice melding with their enterprise stuff. So that sounds interesting. But like we've talked about in the past, CEOs, so many times people they think they're like the president. Oh, they have no power because it's Congress and it's Senate, and that or some kind of figurehead. Well, CEOs are not necessarily figureheads, and you can tell when a company has a new CEO or an old CEO, or one that's doing well or one that's not doing well. I mean, the CEO prior to her just was running the thing into the tomb, just into the dump. Right. And she brought it just right back. It's just amazing. Same thing with eBay. She's really, really good. And I look at it also like Apple. Well, when Steve was here, it was Apple was doing really well on a constantly upswing. Not that they're not now, but just innovative and things, not as many problems going on. Right. QC, no QC stuff. A lot of different issues that are going on now with the current CEO. Now, does that mean that the CEO is bad? No, he's doing a great job. Yeah. But it just goes to show the difference between the mindset of the CEO and how they really take a company down a certain path, just on their vision.
That's right.
I really believe CEOs need to be visionaries first, because that really keeps them abreast of what's going on and moving the company forward. Unlike, perfect example is Kodak, that's basically gone the way of the dinosaur. It's just, they didn't want to embrace digital, and when they decided, it's time to embrace digital, that bus or that ship has already left. It's like, oh, now what?
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. I mean, every company needs a good visionary. I mean, that's what like you said, that's what drives the ship. I mean, that drives the direction of the company. I mean, not everything, right. Not all decisions are made by the CEO, but they right. definitely are pointing the company in the direction they feel they should take it. And right. So we'll see what happens. Good. Yeah. Let's see where HP goes. We need strong players in the industry.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. So moving on, well, we have iPhone 6, we have the iPhone 6 Plus, and someone did a little review, kind of like a camera phone shootout. And I was looking at it more, I didn't really care about the actual shootout as to what the results were. And what they did is they used like a Lumia, what was it, the 1020, let me see, a Nokia N8, the Samsung Note 3, we love the Samsung, the HTC One, and a couple other cameras. But they also used a Nikon D7000 as kind of like the raw footage to kind of base it off as a baseline to see what they do. And of course they did the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus. And what I found here, which was really interesting, and hopefully that you guys will take out of this, is that the actual images produced by the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus are very, very close to the iPhone 5S. Right. There's slight variation in low light. It's slightly better, the 6 and 6 Plus, but not by a drastic amount, right? Yeah, which is a shame, but honestly, I'm not surprised. The first iteration of each main model change, you don't really see the big advancements, let's say, in the camera. When they went from the 4S to the 5, it was kind of like, okay, it was an improvement, but it wasn't a huge step. And then when they went from the 5 to the 5S, that was more of a step. And, honestly, I think with the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, I think they were really focusing on the new physical format design, as well as the software to accompany it. I think they were thinking less about the camera and its impact on photography,
although that is very important to them, I think they were really focusing
Sure.
their efforts elsewhere. So I would
Right.
expect to see a nice camera bump in the next iteration, the S iteration, let's say.
Right.
But for now, it's kind of, is what it is. I mean, I'm sure that camera is nicer than my 5. But my wife has the 5S, and we've said,
Yeah.
it's probably not all that much better. So.
No, it's pretty close. Where they did make their jump is when they went from the iOS movement to the 8.
Yeah.
That's when they gave us photographers and videographers complete manual control over what was going on. So that is WP, your exposure, everything that's going on with the camera, where your focus point is, your WB, which is your white balance, all of these little pieces of the puzzle you can dial in and then lock down. And there's certain apps that take this ability into account and give you that. So that was, I think, the biggest change as far as for photographers is the new iOS 8 in comparison to the camera, so to speak, or the processing that's going on. It's still pretty much the same as the 5S, or pretty close.
Right.
So moving on, Lens Rentals. Now, we've talked about them in the past, and we've said if you need a camera, if you need lenses or something, and you don't have the money to go and spend the thousands of dollars, and you have a shoot that's going on, and there's something specific that you need. You're a sports guy, or you're going to be doing some really wide landscapes, or you're going to be you want to do something like at a 1.2 or aperture, and you don't have something that's that fast. Rent it.
Right.
You can get them relatively cheap. Well, now Lens Rentals kind of changed their model a little bit, and they're almost become kind of like a leasing. Like a car leasing type of service, which is really interesting, right?
Yeah. They brought this new program out called Keeper, and basically what that allows you to do is you can rent the equipment that they offer, and with the option to buy it later if you so choose. Now, not all the equipment qualifies. There are only certain pieces of equipment, I think, but a good majority of the equipment does qualify for this. So if you wanted to rent a 5D Mark III, you could rent that, and then if you decided, wow, I really like this body, give me a quote on purchasing it, then what you do is you click the little button on the website in your account, and they get back to you with a quote. And they base the quote on the age of the unit itself that they sent to you, and really what its value is at that point. And then what they do is they take off your rental fee. So at least up to 7 days, they said. So that's pretty cool. I mean, you get a couple bucks back, and you might be able to get the body a little bit cheaper than paying full retail for it, which is interesting. I guess it really just depends on the wear of the item, how many miles are on the shutter, how many times that lens has been dropped. It's you gotta determine for yourself whether that particular unit is something you would want to buy. But
yeah, you're buying a lease.
You're buying an item
like a lease car.
Yeah, rented out. That's right.
Yeah. So it's not a one owner camera. It could be a 50 owner camera, So you just, your miles may vary from piece to piece to piece. So, but it is neat. I like it. I think it's a cool program, and we'll see how it all goes. We'll keep you abreast of what's up with it. So moving on, Apple. We talked about Apple a few seconds ago. And they've just been having problems. They've been having problems this like the last week or so. They just been problem after problem after problem. The one that really hit them nice and hard between the eyes is this ShellShock, and they say it doesn't affect all Macs or whatever. It affects the majority, and the reason being is most of you or some of you might know OS X is actually Linux. It's a derivative of Unix from a BSD, BSDI, FreeBSD, and a couple other Linux distros that is kind of melded down, boiled down, and created or made into OS X. So it uses an underlying language which is called Bash, and hence the name ShellShock. Bash is a shell for OS X. So when you go and drop into a terminal, you're actually sitting in Bash, and there was an exploit. So it's not that great for them right now, right?
No, it's not. And the reason they're saying that it doesn't affect most users is that if you're using the Mac as is, out of the gate, out of the box, odds are pretty good that you're not going to be vulnerable directly to this exploit. What really happens is when the advanced users get in there and they start messing with the Unix settings and things like that, and that potentially can open up the vulnerabilities. But they are working on a patch regardless. The patch is available. I did find it for download and install from their website, but it's not currently available through the software update. And I was reading some comments about this patch that they have right now, and some people saying that it works, others saying that it doesn't work. They run the test in terminal and it's still turning back vulnerable. Right. It seems like it's still in development, and that's why it has not been pushed out through the software update, because as soon as they push it through a software update and every Mac OS X user updates their software, if there's a problem in it, now it's all big headline news again on Mashable and TechCrunch and every other website. Apple screws up again. They sent out software that was faulty. So, you've got people complaining because they haven't patched it quick enough. And if they threw the patch out there and there was a problem with it, then you'd have people complaining that it was faulty, a faulty
absolutely.
code. So damned if you do, damned
so the
if
bottom
you
line,
don't,
Absolutely. The bottom line here is, don't get it twisted. The vulnerability is rated a 10 out of 10 by the U.S. National Vulnerability Database. Yep. So it is a serious issue, because this exploit is not like an exploit where they go and send some bogus email through your system or whatever. This is like a root attack.
Oh, yeah. They could jack your entire system.
They basically get full access to the machine, period. Admin access to your machine. So, and that's the difference between Apple and like Windows. Anytime, Microsoft, anytime that you have these type of highly vetted systems, they're so slow at acting. It's just brutal. Now, like I said, Apple is running under Linux, right? It's a Unix-based operating system. Well, I'm also a system administrator. I do system admin stuff. I work on security. I work on web system administration. I've done a lot of this type of stuff, and I still do. Now, for me, the system that I'm using, I patched it literally in 30 seconds, and that was it. It's a Unix base, went in there, fixed it in no time. And now we're literally a week or two out, and we still do not have a direct patch that they're pushing out. And this is the type of stuff that happens. It's almost like, you have this board that says, hey, wait a second, don't put it out just yet. We want to make sure, just like you said, if not, we're going to be in the news again. This didn't work.
Yeah, they want to make sure it's fully vetted in-house before they put it out. And that is the issue with Linux. I mean, there are I would guess that the majority of our listeners and viewers who have websites, their websites are running on Linux-based web servers. And Linux is an open source language, basically. And the community builds it, the community supports it, and members of the community hack it. So, these are all issues, the Linux gets an update out there quickly, which is great, but it's built by the community. I mean, nobody's being paid necessarily to do it. Are they spending countless hours, troubleshooting it and testing it and vetting it before they put it out there? I would venture to guess and say no, but the community tests it. The community is the beta testers. So if a patch goes out and there still is a problem, then somebody else will go back in and fix it. Apple doesn't have that luxury. Apple has to fix it and fix it right.
Exactly. And that fix happens in minutes. not in hours, not in days or weeks or months. Those patches are looked at and vetted by hundreds of people, thousands of people over the earth, and it gets fixed like immediately.
Right.
So yeah, there's something to be said about Linux, and maybe one day it will end up being a operating system that everyone is using on their desktop. Right now, many of you are using it in your phones. Many of you are using it on your TVs.
Yeah, you just don't even know you're using it.
Your microwave,
Yep.
your refrigerators, all of these appliances are all using a version of Unix. So, but anyways, moving forward, more Apple stuff, right? So we were saying that they had a hard week. Their next part of their hard week was this BendGate, almost like the Watergate. The whole man. When I saw this on this YouTube video where this guy's like bending this iPhone 6, I'm like, what the heck is going on now? And it's an issue. I mean, you're carving the stuff as thin as possible. You want it to be as sleek and sexy as possible. And who do you blame here? Is it Johnny over there? Who gets this? Who gets the brunt of this?
Yeah. So I mean, again, this is kind of one of these things that I'm on the fence about. This YouTube channel, Unbox Therapy. This video is huge. It's been all around the internet. And you see this guy taking an iPhone in front of the camera and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing to bend this frickin' iPhone that he just paid several $100s for. First off, it's stupid. Whatever. I mean, how many people, I just paid $500 for this iPhone. I'm going to try and bend it now. I mean, that's just dumb. So they did it for the wow factor. They did it to get millions of views on YouTube.
Sure.
Success. They achieved that. The people that are bending it from sitting in their pocket, how big are you, or how tight are those pants? I mean, if you're bending a phone from sitting down on it, take it out of your pocket. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's
I
agree.
agree.
That's like people that take their phones and throw them across the room onto the desk and then wonder why they get scratched or wonder why the screen cracks or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, take care of your stuff and don't beat it up. But on the other hand, should it bend being in your pocket? We all know everybody carries their phones in their pocket. So
if any of you guys are a parent of a teen, especially a teen girl today, and go to middle school or go to high school and drop their kids off, when you look at all of these little girls walking into school and they're all turned away from you, you will see every color phone sticking out of either the left cheek or the right cheek.
Yep.
This
that's
is just
the fashion
cool,
thing,
Trev.
yeah.
This is the cool thing to do, right? So this is where this is kind of coming into play.
I don't think the little girls are bending it, though. I think it's I can't imagine a little 100-pound girl sitting down with this phone in their back pocket is bending it around their cheek. Yeah. I just don't see that happening. I mean, looking at that video with that guy putting the pressure on there, he's putting a lot of pressure on there, more so than what the body weight from some little girl's going to have bending it. You know?
Right. No, absolutely.
I mean, I think it is an issue, no doubt. It's a construction flaw that should be addressed and probably will be in the in the S model. But I think the media is really blowing this up to be a huge thing because they can.
Yeah. I agree, and I think when they go and do this, when they extrude the metal and they actually carve that metal out, they're probably going to make it thicker in that weaker area for the next model, like you said in the S.
They'll put a little bit more titanium reinforcements around there and all that happy stuff.
They won't even say anything about it. They'll just fix it and
then people will be trying to bend it and it won't bend, and they're going to be like, "Well, why doesn't this bend now? That was a feature, not a flaw." We like these flexible iPhones,
So Apple, introduced this video here, which is like a sneak peek, kind of like behind the scenes type of look of how they stress test these phones and these 3-dimensional they have them in there bending this way and twisting it and under how much load and how much force, and they're actually showing it. So we're going to have that up on the screen so you can see that too. And this is just what they have to do. They have to put out the fire. That's just, it's the nature of the beast. When you put out a new product and it has a problem, or it could have a problem, it's just going to, like we said, the community vets it.
Yeah.
They look at it and they say, this could be a problem. We need to fix it. And that's it.
I mean, at the beginning of this whole issue, there were 9 reported cases out of the, what do we say? Thousands, hundred thousands of phones,
hundreds of thousands
sold. So, I mean, they're definitely making a big to-do out of it. But right on the heels of that, another problem with the iOS 8. They pushed out the iOS 8.0.1 update, which caused all kinds of problems. Locking of phones, Touch IDs not working and unlocking. And within, I think it was... I think I heard on MacBreak Weekly, I think they said within 6 hours, that update was pulled down. Everybody was rolled back to 8.
Right.
And anybody in the future that tried updating it, they would get the report that says you're using the most recent version of the iOS.
Exactly. And it was within a week. I think they ended up with 8.0.2.
Yeah, exactly. And then they released the .2 to fix that. So
once again, it's an Apple oops. And this was not the case. Back to the CEO. This was not the case when Steve was there for so many years. You didn't see as much of this. So like I said, do I blame the CEO? No. But you have to look somewhere. Why is this happening? And I could just, I could see the next Samsung, commercial that does this fake Siri voice and says, I can't do that. And they have the phone bending.
Right.
They have the iPhone 6 bending, and then the other voice is, can you do this? And the other one says, I can't do that. The Samsung, whatever it is. I can see it. It's going to be funny as hell.
And
that's what's going to happen. Yeah, absolutely. And they're going to play it up, and it just kills them every single time. It just kills them.
But you know what? Apple took their digs at the PC market for a lot of years with those I'm a Mac, I'm a PC commercials, and they were great. Yep. And you know what? It is what it is. People are going to make their own.
Now they're going to take it the other way.
People are going to make their own judgments about the products out there. I mean, me personally, right now, I have the iPhone 5, and I am in no rush to go get an iPhone 6 or 6 Plus or a Samsung or any other phone, right, for that matter.
Yeah. Works for you.
It's working fine. Sure. I mean, who wouldn't want the most recent technology? But all things considering, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus doesn't wow me enough to warrant running out and getting it, especially knowing that there are some issues with it. Now the iPhone 6 itself has not really had the issues. It's just the Plus because of the size and
it's the size. They didn't take consideration. Area. Absolutely. So anyways, moving on, GoPro HERO4 is coming up in the news. But listen, before we get there, let's go ahead and take a quick break to hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener.
All right, so we're back. And as Joe alluded to, GoPro has rumored the new HERO4 cameras, the HERO4 Black and the HERO4 Silver.
Nice.
Again, this is still technically a rumor, but it's a pretty solid rumor. The source over on Petapixel there, Michael Zhang, he feels that this is like a 100% certain type of type of deal with all the specs and everything. So we'll kind of take it for what it is, and we'll see what actually pans out. But it sounds like it's pretty reliable here. Really, what I'm seeing with the Hero 4 Black is 4K video at 30 frames per second.
That's huge.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool because that takes a lot of processing speed in a little thing. So 4K, but they had to do it. I mean, if not, someone else is going to beat them to the punch. They have to do 4K. Everything is 4K.
Everything's moving that way.
Yeah, and going for the 30 frames and being able to do the 30 frames is good in comparison to 15 frames of old. So I like it. They're doubling everything. You're getting 2-3 times the resolution. You're getting that double the FPS, and I like it.
Yeah, they've stepped up the processor 2 times the processing. They had to. They're doubling the resolution.
They had to.
So. Improved image quality, that's great. Your still photos, you're shooting 12 megapixel stills at 30 frames per second. So, that's fine. Improved audio, it says 2 times the dynamic range. So, but the audio on these cameras are not all that good anyway. So, most of the time you see GoPro footage, if the audio from the camera is being used, it's low in the background and they have music playing over it or something. So I don't even really consider the audio from these cameras.
No, I would just use it for reference audio and then throw on.
Go leave it at that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Built-in Wi-Fi though.
Yeah, built-in Wi-Fi and
That's kinda
Bluetooth. Cool. That is cool, and that really opens up a lot of possibilities for external monitoring. Wireless monitoring.
Exactly.
Wireless monitoring from quadcopters on Wi-Fi, not Bluetooth. Things like that. So, that can be interesting. I could see them coming out with an accessory monitor, maybe that you attach that has like its own little built-in, Wi-Fi hotspot radio and connects with the camera and the whole deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking at like an official announcement, possibly October 8th, I think is what they're saying. Yep. So we'll kind of wait, see what happens. But it's the big. I think it's the top. I read one time the top selling camera ever.
I mean that's that.
Out of every camera sold. That you can go from way back Leica to Nikon to Canon, on and on. It is the top selling camera ever.
Yeah. Yeah, you could buy it and use it for still photos too. Not just not just action sports photography.
Yeah, for whatever. Yeah. Absolutely. So moving on, Adobe. They release a patch. It's going to be, you guys need to get it. It's for RAW as well as DNG converter, and it is the 8.7. So take a look at it. This is the release candidate. 8.7. They do add in some Casio, Fuji film, Leaf camera, the Leica, Nikon, Panasonic, a couple of Sonys. So they have a few cameras. Yep. The one that really stands out, of course, is that the Panasonic, the GM. That's pretty new. The Leica, which not a lot of people have, so it's not as important. But the one that really stands out is that Nikon D750. Yeah. That is a big camera. We talked about, I think, last week, the week before. That's a big announcement, that D750. So if you did buy that camera, now you'll be able to natively bring in those raw images right into, let's say, Lightroom or whatnot.
Right.
So, or convert them through DNG converters. So definitely go grab that. They did some bug fixes, which they always do. They had a serious problem with spot removal. If you did it too quickly doing the spot removal, it would go crash, and that'd be like the end of it, which is not very cool. And then also they had some really wicked banding going on with the D810, which is a newer camera. We talked about that also a couple of weeks ago, where you have this horrible lines, this really bad banding. And they did fix that, supposedly. So those were like the major, the ones that really stand out. There's some other stuff, but what's really interesting, right, Trev, is the point that they make, and they make it very clear, where they say the updates basically in this 8.7 and the one previous are only to the camera support as well as lens profile and any type of bug fixes. Any new feature that is added will not be found in any previous versions to the CC. which is kind of interesting, right? I mean, we expect that, but it's just kind of
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Right?
I mean, we talked about this before with the last version of Camera Raw update, and yeah. I mean, so in order to get the latest and greatest features, you have to be on CC. But I guess I go back to the question: is anybody using, or let me rephrase that? How many people are using Adobe Camera Raw directly, as opposed to importing into Lightroom or Apple's Aperture, with whatever their import profiles were and stuff. I mean, I don't know how many pros are using Camera Raw directly, because you're not getting management with it. You're getting adjustments.
Right. Well, bear in
so
mind,
if you're doing a couple one-offs, I mean, okay, maybe Camera Raw is fine for your needs. You use that combined with Photoshop.
Right.
You do what you got to do. You're done. But if you're an event or wedding photographer, you're doing portraits. If you have a volume of photos, you need to be able to catalog them. You need that asset management.
Yeah.
So
but bear in mind, Lightroom does directly use the Camera Raw. So whichever version you're using, it's using.
Right.
So as you make these updates, your Lightroom will be using it also. So it really doesn't make a difference if you use it, through Lightroom, or if you use it as a standalone, you still will be using it. So
I'm wondering,
what
with
this
the
means
paid
is,
version of Lightroom, though, are you
No.
getting these additional features, or is that only available in, let's say, the Lightroom Creative Cloud?
I think it would be only Creative Cloud. I think that's a way that they can move us
Get us
forward
to
into the
upgrade
Creative
the CC,
Cloud.
yeah.
The same thing happened with the other version of Lightroom that came out. That migrating over to the new, certain features were not available,
Right.
even though you own it. But if you have CC, those features are unlocked.
Right. Yeah,
So
it's probably true. It's probably the way it's going to work. Well, I tell you what, I ran into this kind of upgrade issue this weekend. I had done a whole bunch of product photography for a client, which is great. I hadn't done it in a while, and it was fun to kind of get back into it. And, as many of you know, I mentioned on the show before, I recently purchased a MacBook Pro. My Mac Pro Tower was from 2006. Good machine, still running. Actually, I'm using it now to record. But it just was limiting me on, some certain capabilities. So I upgraded to a Pro laptop, the 15-inch laptop, and I was on the fence as to whether or not I wanted to spring for Creative Cloud, because I can't go with just the Photographer's Edition for $10 a month. I need Illustrator, I need InDesign, I need some
you're
of the
at
other
50
apps.
or more.
So, or do I pay the $40-$50 a month and get that?
Yep.
So I checked compatibility, and my CS5 that I had on disk was still compatible. So I did with Maverick. So I decided to just install that for now. So I did some shots with my Canon, and I went to import them using Camera Raw. Because I had it set to shoot RAW and JPEG. So I was like, let me bring the RAWs in. And I couldn't bring them in. I'm like, it's saying that it doesn't have your profile. I'm like, what are you talking about? It doesn't have my profile. So I'm thinking back, well, CS5 came out before my camera did many moons ago. So it just didn't have the profile built into the base software. So I went to do an update. So I went over to, the help and hit the updates, and it said, there are updates available for all of my apps. So I'm like, okay, update all. And, it's doing its update, and it's running, and it's like downloading something, whatever it's doing. It's taking a long time. And then it gets through to the last app, and all of them have errors saying unable to install the app, try again later. So I'm like, what is that about? So I'm thinking, well, you know what? I was in a user account instead of an admin account. Let me log out, try it again. Same thing happened. So, I'm wondering, and maybe you guys have some experience with this and can fill me in on it. Did Adobe cease the auto updates for the older creative suites? Is this another way that they're kind of forcing you to get into Creative Cloud? Now, after a little digging and a little Google searching and stuff, I did find the downloads page on Adobe's website where I can go and get the most recent version of the CS5 Photoshop that's out there. The most recent version of Camera Raw. So I was able to manually install those. But the auto update didn't work.
Yeah. Why would they make it easy for you to update something that they don't want you to have anymore? They won't. That you will have to go and manually do it.
Yeah.
That's just, I think this is the way it's going to be.
I mean, is there a technical reason, or is it purely marketing and sales that they're just disabling it, thinking that, the person who's looking for the easy solution will just upgrade to Creative Cloud?
Yeah.
And guys like me will actually Google and search and try and find the updates to existing software.
Yeah, there's no reason why they couldn't have that update patch right into the exact file that you just went and manually downloaded.
No, it's still online.
Absolutely none at all. Yeah. It's just,
they just don't want to make it convenient.
Absolutely. Make it hard. So anyways, guys, before we get out of here, I kind of want to leave you with a little quick tip. And I always get people that ask questions. And when I get one that's kind of interesting, and I think many folks could help by getting this type of information, I kind of want to share it with you guys. So kind of my quick tip today would be IS. And we always want IS. We always want image stabilization. It doesn't matter if it's Nikon, if it's Canon, or whatever. And normally these lenses have a switch that says IS on or IS off, image stabilization on or off. And the way it works is it has like little motors in there. It's almost like a gyroscope, like a gyro in it. And it sits there and it shakes and moves to balance the image that it's seeing. Right. Okay, this is just how it works. So as you're moving, it is sitting there moving itself internally to kind of get the image perfectly, let's say, aligned or stable. That's how it works. Well, the problem with it is I get people that say, well, I put IS on and I'm taking my photos and the stuff is more blurry than when I don't have it on. And the bottom line is this is true. Yeah. This is true. So if anyone is using image stabilization lenses and they're shooting on a tripod or they have their camera affixed to something, and there is absolutely no movement going on, the IS will introduce movement because it's trying to correct for movement that's not even there.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. So quick tip, turn your IS off if you don't need it. If you're a portrait shooter, turn it off. You're not, unless you have really shaky hands, turn it off. You do not need it on, and you'll get clearer pictures if it's not on. If you are a landscape shooter on a tripod, or you're shooting inside of a residence, or you're shooting real estate, anything that you have a tripod that you're using, turn IS off.
I just did it when I was doing the product photography. I turned it off, and it did make a difference. I mean, you could hear the little motors in there wanting to, adjust and stuff, and it wasn't even necessary. It's like, why? It's on a tripod. So I just switched it off, and it definitely helped. Yeah, it definitely helped. Before and afters, you could see.
So anyways, I put together an ebook a little while ago about this and making sharper image, 10 tips for making tack sharp images. So if you guys want to see that tip, which I just gave you, and 9 others, I have it up online for free. Go to jchristina.com/ebook. That's jchristina.com/ebook, and go grab a copy. It's free. And hopefully there's some other things that you might not think about on how to make sharper images that it can kind of help you out with.
Yeah, that's right. Good stuff. All right, man. We are done. We are out of here. So if people want to connect with you outside of the show, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, they can find me on Twitter, and that's @JosephChristina, and that's Christina without an H.
Great. And you can connect with me on Twitter. It's @TrevorCurrent.
All right. So everyone, we are done. Can't believe it, for yet another week. You can get all the show notes from this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/166. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/dphotocafe. And we will see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe Show with Trevor Current and Joseph Christina. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with any compatible device by visiting youtube.com/dphotocafe. Be sure to subscribe to our audio feed through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps or through RSS. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your host.